My name is Ryan Sutter. I am 18 years old. Since I can remember, grown up in the church and kind of lived my life through it. I don't know anything else. That's all I know. Parents both Christian, kind of when they were older. My mom grew up a Christian with her family, and my dad had a rough childhood for sure. Not a believer at all growing up. But when he was around in high school, he met a friend that took him to church, and that's how he met my mom. And he just kind of was shocked by the world that he was now a part of, and he just kind of took it all in. So been living his life for God ever since then, and I try and live like that myself, and so he's a big inspiration for me for sure. In freshman and sophomore year, got into drugs and alcohol a little bit, so that was kind of a shock for me, and my dad grew up all in that, like everything I did, he did, and it was really hard for him to watch me kind of go through that. So after I was kind of out of that and had like a just roller coaster of emotions through all that stuff, and after I was done with it, I just looked back and I was like, I always promised my dad I wouldn't kind of go down the same path. So it's kind of hard to think about that. Growing up, so even my dad, it didn't stop for him in high school. After that, he was diagnosed when I was around 10 with melanoma cancer. So he stage 4, got pretty bad, but he overcame it, and then just kind of kept popping up little areas around his body, but we were able to get those out. Right now, it's actually kind of hard, but he's got leukemia now, so he's been struggling with that for almost a year now, but he's just taking pill chemos and still going to work and still taking care of the family, so it's just crazy. And then he's got dizziness in his eyes now that's pretty much permanent. He's gone almost completely deaf, not completely deaf, but pretty close to deaf in both of his ears, so now he wears hearing aids, and so he's only 48 too, so yeah, it's almost like it's never ending for him. And for Christmas this year, I asked him what he wanted, and the first thing he said, he didn't say anything, he was just, Ryan, it's been a rough year for me. And that like broke me. I went back to my room and just started bawling. I was like, there's really nothing I could possibly do. His whole left arm gets swollen because his lymph nodes were removed in a surgery. So his whole arm gets swollen from not being able to like cycle out any of the bodily fluids or whatever and stuff. So he can't, when I was growing up, I could never go outside and throw a baseball or a football around with him, or we used to snowboard, and now he can't snowboard anymore, so it's like everything that we kind of had together is like our hobbies are kind of gone now. But I'm trying not to let that ruin my image of my relationship with my dad, because that's not really what matters. I think it's the emotional relationship that we have is what's really strong. I think my dad honestly stays the strongest out of anyone. It's kind of surprising just how it's hard for him to keep trust in God, going through what he's going through, but he still relies on him more than I think I do too. And I think I can lose trust with him and kind of turn away easier than he does, and I don't have that from him yet, but I look up to him for that. I don't even know where we would be, honestly. Like, I don't know where my dad would be mentally. I don't even know where he, like, even through high school, he was suicidal, and kind of God saved him through that, and he didn't even know. So I don't even really know where we would be. So it's kind of insane to think about that. I don't try and think about it too much, but I look at all my friends' dads, and they're still snowboarding, dirt biking, doing everything, and my dad's still kind of struggling to drive a car at under 50. So I don't know where God has him in God's timeline and where he stands, but I'm trusting it that it's really hard to like think about to like when God will take him, but because we all go somewhere at some time. So but yeah, that was definitely a fear when he had cancer when I was younger. We're kind of where we're at. It's kind of what he's going through right now is kind of permanent. So we're kind of adjusting to that and having to talk a little louder around him because his hearing's going, but he still cracks jokes about him being deaf and making funny jokes, so he's not hard about it, or like he's not crushed about it. He's still got like his sense of humor that he's always had that I really enjoy. So but kind of he's struggling with depression a lot right now because it's just everything just seems to be going downhill. So I think kind of us all staying happy and kind of encouraging him to stay happy too is a big goal. I turned 18 last week, so that's kind of been a shock for me lately, just thinking about my life now that I'm 18 and where that goes. But I'm definitely taking the lessons that my dad gave me, and my mom and my parents and everyone in my family, and kind of taking that with me. But I definitely want to move out at some point and get my own place, and kind of live my life with my faith, like hold it close to me, and which is something I got to work on and be able to keep that accountable with myself. But yeah, just from here, I think it's just keeping myself happy and kind of watching my depression, because that definitely came from my dad, so that's been a tough thing. But I think just growing up and letting life take it and letting God control it is a big thing. So, just living my life as a follower. No matter where your health is or where your family's health is, stay positive, because I struggled with being negative about it and kind of letting my dad's health affect my health, and my family's health. So just stay positive and cry out to God when you feel it, because God wants you to call to him. He gives you those situations for a reason, to be able to call on him. And when you don't, it's just going to hurt you, and it just affects you. But when you cry out to God in those desperate times, it changes everything. And I've had to focus on staying positive and calling out to God when I needed him. And it changed everything for me, for sure.
Well, thank you.
Of course. Thank you.